Sometimes in our algorithms, we might want to have a fork in a conditional that's based on more than one expression. And one way to do that is to use what we call nested conditionals, where we put a conditional structure inside the fork of another conditional structure. So we have an inner conditional and an outer conditional. And that inner conditional, in this case Boolean expression 2, is called a nested conditional. Now you can see these pretty easily as they line up. So you see the blue line there of the outer conditional and the magenta line of the inner conditional. So if Boolean expression 1 is true, then we're going to test Boolean expression 2. And if that's true, we'll execute the code if both expression 1 and expression 2 are true. Otherwise, we'll execute the code if expression 1 is true but expression 2 is false. Let's take a look at an example here. With the forecast equals rain, then, and we're going to ask, is the precipitation going to be greater than 1/2 inch? If it is, we're going to say take your umbrella and galoshes. Else, you just need to take your umbrella. However, if there is no rain, then that else fork is grab your sunglasses. So we have 3 different forks here, and 2 of those are based on 2 different conditions. We can put another nested if inside that second fork of our outer if. So now we've got forecast and rain. Well, if there is no rain, we're going to ask, is the temperature greater than 100? And if it is, we'll say put on sunscreen. Otherwise, grab your sunglasses. So here we have 2 nested conditions, one inside each fork. We can have as many nested conditions as we want. And so we could put another nested condition. Maybe we have the else take your umbrella. We could ask another question and do different forks there. Let's take a look at a Visual Basic example. I created an application with a track bar that goes from a -100 to a +100. And I want to know, as we move this track bar, is the number positive or negative, and is it even or odd? So if I go to 25 here, I'm told that is a positive odd value. If we look at our conditions here, the outer conditions, if track 100 value is greater than 0, well, that's true. So it's going to be a positive number, and then we're going to ask, is that value evenly divisible by 2? So there's no remainder. The remainder equals 0. And if that mod 2 expression equals 0, I know it's even. And I can say this is a positive even value. But in this case, it's not. 25 mod 2 yields a value of 1. So that's false. So we hit this fork of LBL value description.text equals is a positive odd value. Now if I just move it over 1, say to a 26, now I'm getting it's a positive even value. And we can see that change throughout as I move the slider here. If I take a negative number, let's say a -48, I'm told that's a negative even value. So now it is less than 0. So my else if here, and then inside that fork is a nested if else if that again is looking to see if it's even or odd based on the mod 2. In this case, it is an even value. 48 divided by 2 leaves no remainder, even though it's negative. But again, if I move over, say, to a 59, now I'm told it's a negative odd value. And once again, we can see that change throughout here. If I go to a 0, the 0 is my else fork here, and I'm just told it's a neutral value. So that's a good example of using nested conditionals. These conditionals that are nested in here could be ternary expressions. We can have multiple levels of nested conditions. There is no limit on how many we could have. Here I have 4. If you notice how they line up, it's easy to see those 4. So one is looking at the condition of A is greater than 5, one is looking at the condition of B is less than 20, one the condition of C is greater than or equal to 100, and one is if campus.toUpper does not equal SMCC. We can also use a if, else, end if structure inside a select case fork. So here's an example where we're looking at the select case of x, y, z. If case is 1, then I have a nested conditional for that case. If last name is less than M, we're going to put into the text, into the label, text, you're in group 1A. Otherwise, the else will put into label text, you are in group 1B. We can also use ternary conditions here. So here, case 1, ABC equals SMCC, and then we'll test to see if n equals 1. If it does, we're going to change the ABC to GCU. If it's 2, we'll change it to ASU. If it's 3, we'll change to U of A. If it's not any of those, it remains SMCC. And of course, we can also put a select case inside of an else, if-else structure if we want it. Conditional structure inside another conditional structure is known as a nested conditional. In the next video, we'll look at how to use logical operators to examine multiple expressions in the same fork. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the Programming Practicum playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos I create, you can click my picture in the top right to subscribe to the channel.